Hi, my name is Jason Phillips, co-offensive coordinator and receivers coach at the University of Houston. Today we'll be taking a look at some release drills that we feel are beneficial for you and your players. So you say you want to be a receiver and you are 6'2", 180 pounds and you run a 4.4 40, all right? You're also 5'10", 175 pounds and you run a 4.2 40. Are you 6'6", 220 pounds and you're a 4.5 guy? Hey, these are great attributes for wide receivers. I love the heights, I love the weight, I love the speed, but you can't get off the line of scrimmage. What we're going to talk about today is some release drill techniques and also some of the things that we look for in wide receivers, because without the ability to get off the line of scrimmage, you can never be a complete wide receiver. Okay? Quick feet. You must possess quick feet. Okay? So no matter how big you are or how fast you are, you must develop quick feet in order to be effective at the line of scrimmage with today's press coverages and the corners are just as big as you. Okay? Number two, moves at the line of scrimmage. You must be able to create space in a short period of area at the line of scrimmage. You must be able to get that defender to either declare his technique or rock him a little bit, get him back on his heels. You must have moves at the line of scrimmage along with your quick feet. Able to avoid the jam. Everybody likes to come up, and I know it's challenging for a defender and a receiver, but the defender loves to come up and get in the face of wide receivers and get his hands on him and jam him and lock him up. That's the thing they take pride in. So as a receiver, you must be able to avoid that and be able to defend yourself against that. Okay? Able to use your hands. This is where you're going to have to learn a variety of hand techniques in order to defend yourself at the line of scrimmage, in order to execute your route down the field to make you that great receiver. Okay? Crafty release techniques. Now, this is something that you must learn, having a variety of techniques, having a lot of tools in your bag, a lot of different ways to release on a defender, a lot of different ideas. You must be crafty in knowing what your route is, what you're trying to get accomplished, what the play is, how much time you got. You got to be crafty in knowing that sometimes you may release on the inside technique or you may not, but you have to be real crafty, and that's up to you in the situation at that particular time. Okay? Short mental approach. Okay? You must have confidence in your ability to get off the line of scrimmage. You cannot allow a defender to come in and crowd the line of scrimmage and jam you, and you not have confidence in your ability to defeat that guy and get into your route. So we're going to talk about some of the things that we do and utilize at the University of Houston with our receivers to help those guys have confidence, release off the line of scrimmage, and get into their routes to where they can be effective receivers downfield. Okay, one of the drills that we utilize in order to help our guys realize the importance of having a good release off the line of scrimmage is what we call the 5-cone drill. Now, within a 5-yard area, we will place 5 cones. And what we want to do is have that receiver aligned starting here, okay, in front of this cone, and he will work quick feet to that cone, give a stick, so it will look something like this. He will work quick feet here, give a stick. Notice my head and eyes are downfield. I've got great body lean here, and I'm working to this cone. I'm using my peripheral vision here. I'm not actually looking at the cone. Everything is up on the defender. So I'm quick feet here, give a stick, head and shoulders you may. Then I work to the next cone and give a stick there. So it looks something similar to that. Okay, so we're going to stick here, work our feet, stick there, work our feet, stick there, work our feet, stick, and then release up the field. Okay, so we will do that with each guy. Every guy will go through and get a turn doing that. We will simply flip it and come back the other direction and work. And then as we go through the drill, we will eliminate cones. So now we'll work 4 cones. We'll eliminate cone, work 3 cones, single stick, single work right there, and so forth. Now, we will also do what we call a 1-cone drill, where we simply place 1 cone in front of the defender, in front of the receiver here, and he will work gaining ground here, and release either outside or inside, just kind of depending on where the ball is. But we will get him used to a variety of different moves or different sets. So when that defender comes in front of him, he knows exactly how to defeat that technique based on some of the drills that we're doing here. The next thing we'll do is a one-on-one receiver drill, and basically all that simply is we'll have the receivers pair up into partners. They will stand anywhere from 3 to 4 yards apart from each other, in front of each other here, and they will work releases on that drill and simply do this. This is a pre-practice type deal to where we're just getting our bodies warmed up, getting used to attacking the defender and working. So he will attack the defender, kind of similar to what we're doing here, and he will release outside on the command, and then he'll come back. They'll reverse. He will go back. Then he will release inside on the command, and then the guys will simply flip, change roles. One will become the DB now, the other will become the receiver. So these are the two things that we do to try to get our guys in position and familiarize them with different techniques of defenders so that they're able to execute these drills in order to defeat press man-to-man coverage. Okay, let's talk about the stance for a second. I mean, I think that's important. I mean, the receiver needs to understand what type of technique he's getting, whether it's off technique or it's a press technique. But the stance is important for him to utilize the proper release technique in order to defeat that particular technique. Now, one of the things we try to do is we'll have our guys aligned to the line of scrimmage. I'm not a big advocate of telling them whether I want their hands up or hands down. Whatever feels comfortable to the receiver, that's what I will allow him to do. But particularly if we get a press man coverage, I prefer for him to have his hands up, okay? Have his hands up here in a boxer's stance here or a boxer's position, ready to defend himself at all times. So when that defender attacks him, his hands are at attack level to where he can defend himself and get off the line of scrimmage. If that guy's playing off 5, 6, 7, 8 yards or whatever the case may be, if he wants to drop his hands here, that's simply okay with me. If he wants to maintain this position here, that's fine as well. But whatever is comfortable for the receiver, I will allow him to do that. But I would prefer that when he's encountering press coverage, that I would prefer that he have his hands here ready to defend himself at the snap of the ball as he approaches or releases from the line of scrimmage. Okay, single stick. Single stick is something that we work on a daily basis in releasing, and that's simply when the defender has declared his leverage, whether he's playing inside leverage if the ball's in here or he's playing outside leverage. We will use a technique called single stick. And basically what we're doing, we're gaining ground to his leverage. If he's inside, we're gaining ground to his leverage and giving a single stick to create more space for us as we release up the field. So what we want to do as he's playing inside leverage is basically get in our position here, proper body lean, our head and eyes, and he's playing press coverage there with a single stick. So our hands are here, ready to defend ourselves against the jam. So what we want to do is gain the ground simply, not in foot fire, not here in place, but we want to bring that back foot up to even and gain ground and single stick him to get him to move. And our next step is up the field vertical. So it will look something like this. You have a corner or defensive back playing inside leverage, balls inside, receivers here, okay? Inside leverage there. We will gain ground up the field, single stick, and our next step will be vertical up the field, trying to capture this area right behind that defender, okay? Trying to get back on our stem, or what we like to call this area here, we want to get into that guy's backyard. We want to get into his backyard and dominate. So we're not going to step wide like I see a lot of guys doing on video, okay? A lot of guys, high school guys, guys that I've coached currently now, they step outside here, giving that guy an opportunity to take a cutoff angle and get back on top. So we don't want to do that. We want to get our guys to gain ground up the field, single stick the guy. The next step needs to be vertical, either to his outside shoulder, okay, just kind of depending on where he is, or into his body frame, okay? You have to be physical, okay? That typically the guy in front of you is the same size as you. You lift weights on a daily basis in the strength conditioning programs in your particular area. So be physical with that guy. We preach that on a daily basis. Get physical. Don't be afraid to put your hands on the guy. Don't be afraid for a guy to put his hands on you. Get his hands off. We'll teach him how to get his hands off. But also we want that guy to be mindful and focus on taking that step up the field, getting vertical as quickly as possible, capturing that ground behind the defender, which we refer to as his backyard. okay? We also utilize a speed release, and that's simply this. Hey, your line here, that guy's either inside or outside leverage, doesn't matter. All you're doing is your first step is just outrunning him to a point. Just the first step, just speed release and go, all right? This particular release, speed release, you're gonna use your hands to defend yourself more often than when you use your feet. Let me back up for a second. The single stick deal, we try to get a guy to move or get him to slide with his leverage based on the feet that we're going to just, hey, gain ground to his guy and set the guy with our feet. We will be ready to defend ourselves with our hands, but if you do a good job, in my opinion, if you do a good job here gaining ground and setting the guy, very rarely will you use your hands because the guy will be afraid of you beating him inside because he's been coached to play this technique and not get beat inside or not get beat outside if he's playing outside leverage, okay? So speed technique is very, very simple. Basically, all you're doing is just releasing off the line of scrimmage. I'm faster than you. Hey, I need to get off and get a quick route, get going. So I'm just going to come off the line of scrimmage and speed release. We do teach that with some of our faster guys that we know we can gain an advantage versus a team or the defender. We know this guy's faster than that guy, so we utilize that. Again, it comes back to being crafty. What release do you feel is beneficial to you at that particular time, and use a combination of them both. So you never really give this guy the edge. We never want to give the defender an edge in press coverage or in man coverage. We want to keep him on his toes, keep him guessing. So you can use a combination of them both depending on the situation at that time. Okay, some of the upper body releases that we use and teaching our guys the proper way to release off the line of scrimmage is what we call the hack and the punch. Okay, there are different varieties of hand upper body movements you can use. We primarily focus on two, and that's the hack and the punch. The hack is simply this, one hand down. Okay, as you approach that defender, say for instance, I'm taking an outside release on inside leverage right here. I'm doing a great job here, gaining the ground to the defender. I stick that defender and I take my next step up the field and he shoots that hand. I use a hack, or it's a hand over, hack that hand down. And my next step, as I hack that hand down, my next step is also vertical up the field so we can get vertical quickly, capture the ground or the backyard of that defender immediately, okay? What I don't like to see, and I see this a lot of times with my guys, they do this and we're trying to break this habit, is a lot of guys like to gain the ground and set that defender to the inside and take the off outside hand and work back into the defender this way. I don't like that. So we use what we called a near hand technique, meaning that defender's on your left hand, that's the hand you use to defend yourself. If that defender's on your right hand, you use your right hand to defend yourself. So we call it the near hand hack technique, okay? So what we want to do is gain ground, set it, near hand is my left hand, defender's here. I'm hacking down here so I can get this way and keep everything moving, my entire body, framework, everything moving vertical up the field as I'm going in this direction. I have a tendency, or I see where guys use that offhand across their body. You got their legs and their feet moving in one direction, but their upper body and all their movement is crossing. So it creates a little bit of, uncertainty there. That guy tends to slow down, and now he's got to get everything back in rhythm as he's going down the field. So we don't do that, or I don't like to teach it that way. We do a hack near hand technique. The punch is simple. The punch is something that derived from the old swim technique. As you well know, the old swim technique, a lot of guys were getting hit here in the ribs. There are some guys that are still capable of executing that particular technique, and hey, continue to do that if it works for you. I'm not going to discourage anything that works. If it works, continue to use it. But we don't teach this. I don't teach this. What I like to do is teach what they call a punch. Now, simply a punch is we're going to, instead of swimming over, we're going to punch through, just like a boxer. We're going to take a punch through his outside shoulder, try to punch through and rake down, punch through and rake down, get that hand off, and continue to move up the field. We will we were trying to get away from the swim technique where we're coming up and over. We want to punch through, get that hand down, and step up the field, okay? So we utilize two upper body techniques, hack with the near hand, and the punch technique, okay? Now, one of the ways that you can do this again, to save time, to incorporate doing combo drills, getting everything in so you can do it in the most efficient way that you can. With the 5-cone drill that we talked about earlier, you can place DBs on each cone. So we'll have that receiver work to the first cone, and that defender will have an arm shield on, and he will extend his arm as that receiver approaches that cone, extend his arm, and that receiver will execute the hack, near hand hack. Hack down, gaining ground here, stick, near hand hack. Same thing here, near hand, and then that receiver will release up the field, okay? One of the things we do that I think is very important with all the drills that we're talking about today is that if you're gonna do drills and you're working with receivers, please use a ball, okay? Every drill we do, no matter what it is, whether it's a 4-cone drill, 5-cone drill, or whatever drill it is, we're gonna throw our guys a football because that is what they do, okay? They're there to catch footballs. I'm not gonna have them do any drill to where there's not a football at the end of it, okay? So what I'll do is I'll stand here, and as he releases here, boom, we'll throw him a fade ball, or we may run a route out of it just so he can get used to this is how he's gonna play. That's what we wanna get him used to, okay? He's never gonna execute this, you know, in the field of play and not be on the receiving end of a pass. Well, that's what I want him to think. So we're gonna incorporate a ball to where at all times, every drill that we do, we're going to throw a ball to them so they can get the feel of knowing that they're doing this for a purpose and get down the field and make plays. So again, just to go over this real quickly, hack drill, gaining ground the defender where it's inside or outside. If he's outside, boom, hack drill, hand over, boom, knocking the near hand down with your near hand, knocking that down and getting vertical up the field, okay? Punch drill, not to swim over. We're gonna punch through to that outside shoulder at shoulder level, okay? Shoulder level, and rake down just so we can propel ourselves through. If you do this the correct way, once you get punched through and knock that hand down and rake through, you should be able to pull yourself up the field vertically, so now you can get vertical. Everything we do with releases, whether it be lower body and upper body releases, we want to work with our body, not against our body, but with our body, getting vertical up the field so we can maintain our leverage, okay, and execute things perfectly and quickly for the quarterback. We understand there's a timing situation there, so we want to do everything we can to get up the field as quick as we can, capture that ground in the back of that defender there within 5 yards or a little bit, maybe 6 or 7 yards. So now it gives our quarterback a visual of us, so he can now throw us a perfect pass over the top, or we can execute our route downfield. Okay, one of the things I want to go over real quickly, we try to get our guys to understand that there are 2 types of releases, okay? First, there's a release off the line of scrimmage. That is when the defensive back or the defender is directly in your face, okay, and playing you in either an outside or inside leverage or maybe even head up, okay? That is what we call our line of scrimmage. That's the first type of release we try to work on a daily basis. The other one is a downfield, okay? Now, that's maybe a zone technique you're getting, inside receivers. You're working off a linebacker, playing the area outside there. Okay, you're releasing up the field, and all of a sudden here comes this linebacker sliding in front of you, and you have to release and go outside or inside, to kind of depending on what the play is and what you're trying to get accomplished. For a corner, it could be a cover 2 situation. It could be cover 3 or cover 4, where that guy's kind of squatting on you, or he's backpedaling and squatting. But you have to attack that defender, and you have to release at some point. So what we talk about with those guys, there are 2 types of releases. There's a line of scrimmage release. There's also the downfield release. And the technique that we use at the line of scrimmage, I try to emphasize with those guys, you have to use that same technique down the field. For instance, if you're an inside receiver and you're releasing on a linebacker here and he's working out into your area, okay, the line of scrimmage is the release point is not at the line of scrimmage. It's downfield wherever that linebacker is. So now as you execute your route, when you get here with that linebacker, you have to set him and release outside. You still have to execute the release. It's downfield now as opposed to being at the line of scrimmage. Same thing for an outside receiver with a corner, with a cover 2 look, okay? You still not here at the line of scrimmage. You release, stretch that zone, try to get outside of that guy, and you still have to set him, whether you go outside if he allows you to do that, or you set him and slip him inside and get back outside, okay? So this is what we call a downfield release. You have to execute the same thing you would at the line of scrimmage. You have to execute it downfield because now it freezes those defenders and allow you to get inside or outside and minimize the opportunity for them to get a jam on you or reroute you based on what the coverage that they're playing and what they're trying to do to you. Let's recap some of the things that we've talked about earlier, okay, as far as the release. All right. Number one, let's stay under control. Okay, remember, you can't do anything playing this football game to be successful out of control. Stay under control. Keep your body under control with your mind and with your thoughts. Keep everything under control. Keep your feet under the framework of your body. You can't do anything with your feet outside of the framework. We want to keep everything in tight. That's one of the things that I talk about greatly with our guys. Keep everything under control. Keep everything in tight. Work the defender. Everything in tight, under control. Be in command of all your movements and keep it all in tight within the framework of your body. Okay? Get back on your stem. This is crucial. This is important. We stress this on a daily basis with every route that we run. When you're attacking the defender in man coverage, whether it be one-on-one or loose man coverage, get back on your stem. That is very, very important. We want to make sure that we set the defender to the leverage that he's playing, attacking that defender, and try to capture that ground within this behind or the backyard. Try to get in that area, get back on our stem to help us execute our route down the field so we can get to our break point, accelerate into our break, accelerate out, creating separation, creating lanes for our quarterback to throw into, or visualization for our quarterback to see us when we're running a fade ball. We get back on our stem, not get pushed outside or pushed out of our lane to where now it creates a situation where the quarterback can't see us and he has to throw something over our heads, maybe even out of bounds, and not have a chance to complete that football. So getting back on your stem is crucial and very, very important in executing your route. Eyes up on the defender. Again, as I said earlier, the ground will never ever move. So get your eyes off the ground. Make sure your eyes stay on that defender. Kind of see the leverage that he's playing. See what he's trying to do to you. Get a visual of the defensive coverage behind him. Kind of see what the safeties are doing, the linebackers are doing. Utilize your eyes. It can be a very useful weapon for you in executing routes, whether or not you're attacking zones or finding lanes and areas to sit down and in soft zones, and also attacking man-to-man coverage so where you can see where his help is coming from if he has it, or it's just you and him one-on-one, kind of get a feel for what's going on there. But you have to be able to use your eyes, so you got to keep your head and eyes up on that defender at all times. Accelerate off the line of scrimmage. This is a big part of it. No matter how fast you are, no matter how big you are, okay, we want to get that guy in a panic mode. We want to panic that defender. We want him to think that he's getting beat deep. The one thing that they talk about in his meeting room all the time, hey, don't get beat deep. Don't give up the big one. Don't give up the big one. Let them catch everything in front, but don't give up the big one. So we must accelerate off the line of scrimmage to threaten that defender, make him think he's getting ready to get beat deep, and run every route within our playbook off a vertical, accelerated stem. Everything must be fast. Get that guy uncomfortable, back him up, get him nervous, and break every route off a vertical, fast stem. Okay? Upper body and lower body releases. We've talked about that. Okay? There are two types of releases. There's an upper body release where you're basically releasing, defending yourself with your hands, getting your hands involved, head and shoulder fakes, doing all this. And then there's a lower body release where you're gaining ground to that defender based on the leverage that he's playing, whether it's inside, head up, or outside. You're gaining ground with your feet. You've been very, very effective with your feet. You're setting that defender. Now you use your lower body to set him. Upper body gives some movement, defending yourself with the hands. Upper body and lower body releases. Okay? Line of scrimmage and downfield release. We've talked about that as well. Okay? If the defender's pressed, then that will be a line of scrimmage release. You must utilize all the techniques and the proper upper and lower body techniques to win in this situation. Or if that defender backs up, or it's a zone situation, there's a downfield release. You still have to set that defender in order to execute your route. Okay? It's very, very important that you realize that there's a line of scrimmage and there's a downfield. Do not just run downfield. Allow those guys to reroute you, rejam you, okay? Attack that defender and make sure that you understand that there is an opportunity for him to reroute you if you don't set him or attack him on a downfield release. Now that we've seen all the release techniques that we utilize at the University of Houston, let's take a look at the video. About now is some of the release drills that we use here at the University of Houston. We're going to go over a gaining the ground aspect. We'll show you some drills where we gain ground to a defender and set him to his leverage. Also, the thing here we want to emphasize is staying under control. We want to keep our feet under the framework of our body. We want our head and eyes up on a defender. Okay, and we want to get back on our stem at all times versus any type of press, bump and run type coverage. We want to get back on our stem on our route, and we want to capture the ground in behind the defensive back at all times. We want to also accelerate off the line of scrimmage. So we're going to take a few look at some things here, some of the things that we do here to help our guys get better at releases. What you see here is a demonstration or illustration, rather, of some of the things that we will be looking at and working on during this drill segment here. Some of the things we work on a daily basis is the gain ground group drill. Okay, again, we don't have a lot of time, so we try to set drills up to where we can maximize the time that we have and get everybody involved in the drill. The purpose is to teach the receiver to close the cushion in loose coverage and also set the guy in his technique versus man and tight coverage. Okay, coaching points, make sure your receiver is under control and has quick feet. Okay, again, this is lower body releases right now that you'll be taking a look at. We'll get into the upper body releases later, but right now the first one, we have a single cone set in front of the receiver, maybe somewhere between 3, 4, and play with it 2, 3, 4 yards, and basically we're asking him to gain the ground straight ahead to that defender because the line of scrimmage is now removed from the line of scrimmage as far as bump and run, but now it's off. And we consider the line of scrimmage basically once we take off, once the ball is snapped, we consider the line of scrimmage as far as release purposes are concerned where the DB is. So we want to bring the line of scrimmage to that defender, set that defender, and then continue down the field on our route. So the second one is single set where we got a bump and run, tight man coverage. That defender is shading one side, so we want to gain ground to his technique, set that guy with a single stick, set him to his technique, and then release up the field vertical. Again, we want to get back on our route, and we want to always do that with a vertical stem, getting back, trying to capture that ground behind that defender. We want to have a clear visual of our quarterback and our quarterback to have a clear visual of us within the first 5 yards. So that's what that's our goal. That's what we're trying to accomplish. So we want to single set that guy, whether he's playing inside or outside leverage. We want to gain ground to his leverage, set that guy, and get up the field vertical. A double set is some people call it a double move. We have that here. We'll work on that here. We'll gain ground to one cone, set it, and gain ground to the second cone and set that. And again, getting vertical off that second set, or that second stick there, getting vertical and capturing the ground behind that defender and getting vertical from that standpoint, I was first introduced to this. We didn't really do a lot of things as far as drill work, gaining ground and setting defenders. So this is something that we do. I know it's not natural to a lot of guys, so we work it every day just so they can get familiar with how to do it and have some idea. So when they walk up there, they don't get surprised and not have a plan versus man coverage or loose man coverage. So we try to do this every day to try to give them an idea of how to defeat that type of coverage. Here, as you see, we got a single file line, which is, we first introduced this to these guys some time ago. So we started off this way. The slide you saw before, that's a lot better way to do it. It's a better way to do it that way is break it down. But here we want to do, we've got 5 cones set up here, 5 yards within a 5-yard radius here. And what we got those guys doing is gaining ground to each cone, setting that cone with his head and eyes up on that defender there, which is a guy helping me out here. Head and eyes up on that defender, giving head and shoulder fakes as he sticks his foot in the ground, and then getting vertical up the field from that point, getting a vertical stem and catching the ball. What you can also do, take that manager or whoever's assisting you and put some arm shields on him, and you can have him bounce from each cone, simulating a DB sticking his hand out, and have that guy also not only work a lower release drill, but also work an upper body release along with that with the single hack or double hack or however you want to do it, a rip technique or however you want to do it here. So There's a lot of things you can do with this drill, a lot of things you can add. So just get very creative. Don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to get creative. And again, the only thing I would encourage here that you're about to see that I think is a little bit of a mistake is the line there is too long. You can break that down into probably 3 lines, work this drill, and get more out of it. So as we witness this, just kind of give you an idea. He's doing a good job gaining ground here, setting, head and shoulder fake, boom, sticking and getting vertical up the field. Again, get vertical up the field. Right there is a good job getting vertical. I've liked to have seen him use a release technique right there at the end, right there, just to get in the habit of doing it. A release technique there, getting vertical. Again, we utilize a ball in every drill that we do because that's what receivers do is catch footballs at the end of executing anything. So we will add a ball to every drill. It's a good job accelerating, going, getting the football here. Good job getting vertical. Work off a vertical stem. Everything off of vertical stems. Good job. He's a little, his arms there were a little dead. His right arm in particular, a little dead. Get his arms. We want active arms here. Head and shoulder stick. Getting vertical. We're a little lackadaisical coming out of this right here. We need to be a little bit more explosive coming out of there, being more decisive, getting vertical, downfield, making the play. Hands, a good job with the hands being active. Need more shoulder, head and shoulder stick, foot in the ground. Now he drops his head. That's not good. We don't want that. We want to keep your head and eyes down the field. We don't want to drop. Now that's emphasized daily. We want to keep our head and eyes downfield on the defender and seeing the defense. Now this is a little bit too deliberate. We want it more under control, not as deliberate here. Under control, a little bit smoother. We want to be smooth here. Okay, but this is a good job right here. Accelerating out of that, get out of there, accelerate downfield, make the play. Okay, got the big tight ends in there. You can jump those guys in there as well. Get those guys a little bit, let them get a little action every now and then. He's kind of hopping from cone to cone. We don't want that. We want you moving gradually up the field. Again, we want you moving gradually up the field, okay? Don't hop. You want to be able to make a move, and you got to have your feet on the ground. So you don't want to hop. As you hop, your feet leave the ground, and you're in the air. So you want to gradually gain the ground with your feet on the ground up the field to the defender. So now it allows you, if he jumps one way or the other, you're able to adjust quickly. So we want to make sure we're not hopping here. Okay, be a little smooth, accelerate, get your head and eyes up and accelerate. Done here is just pulled up some archive tape here. You want to watch the Detroit Lions. I happen to be with the Lions my rookie year. I think this is from my rookie year. So we're going to take a look at it as far as gaining the ground, setting defenders, and being explosive up the field. Also, we're going to take a look at some things to where we want to be visual, being vertical within the first 5 yards, and proper angles coming in and getting in and out of breaks. So we're going to take a look. This first guy here has done a good job. He's going to do a good job gaining ground. See, he's moving forward toward the DB. The DB, once he moves forward, the DB declares his leverage. Okay? Good job, head and shoulders, being decisive there. He could bring his head up just a little bit more. I like to see him get his hand off right there, which is good. And then just make the play. Okay? The next guy, again, you got loose man here. So that's why we said we'll take that cone and we'll stick it anywhere from 2, 3, 4 yards in front of the DB. In front of the receiver there, and let him gain ground to that guy since he's playing head up to make him declare his leverage. So we want to gain ground, boom. He declared his leverage, boom. Now, get his hands down. He's beat now within first 5 yards. First 5 yards, he's beat. The receiver has declared himself to the quarterback. Hey, I've won this situation right here. That guy's obviously in a trail technique, and we're getting down the field. Again, at the break point here, we want to make sure we get flat and stay flat. Don't drift to the football here. Stay flat. Don't allow that defender to come underneath and pick this off. Stay flat. Okay, this guy here is pretty good at it. And I only say that because that's me, so I'm a little biased in this situation. But it's a good job right here, gaining ground, keeping active arms. Active arms. Defender declares. Okay, we've talked about near hand. Near hand, this is a hack move, hacking that hand down, and then getting vertical. Again, near hand, gaining ground, setting that defender, gaining ground, set, quick head and shoulders, set, get vertical. Quick head and shoulders, set, get vertical. First 5 yards we've declared. The quarterback now knows who's winning this battle. Head up, gain ground, set. Set, gain ground. Okay, we've got a little bit of a cross swim or short punch right here. Taking that left hand swipe and then punch through instead of swimming over the top. Punch through the shoulder pad right here. Punch through it and then rake it down. Punch through and rake down. Boom, and accelerate. First 5 yards. See who's the winner. Gain ground, set. Short punch. Get through the route. Gain ground. Set the guy. Okay, don't double move. Just go ahead and run the route. Gain ground, set. Get vertical quickly. There it is. First 5 yards. Everybody see who's the winner. Gain ground, set. Now we got loose man. We're taking a slight angle to the inside. Again, getting downhill on your route, getting flat to downhill. Gain ground, set this guy. Set it, get vertical up the field. Speed cut, cut him off. Release drills, as we mentioned, we consider it to be two types of releases. There's a upper body release and also a lower body release. Upper body consists of your arm movement or your hands. There are two type of movements that we typically use here, and that's the hack movement or the hammer, some people refer to, where you're single arm and you're swiping down. The single swipe is basically what you just saw. We call it the punch, where you're swiping across your body and punching through to get a release that way. Also, there's the lower body release, speed release for guys that we feel has just got tremendous speed and don't want to waste a lot of time. So we just allow them to just speed release, and then also the single stick that you've just seen there, and then also the double stick. So it's a double move type of a release. The basic concepts that we're working with here, we want to always have a game plan of attack as we're on the line of scrimmage and we recognize the coverage. We want to have a game plan of attack. We want to know what type of leverage we're getting and how we're going to attack that leverage. We want to create movement, force a reaction on that defender to get him to open the gate so we can execute an escape move. And we do that by gaining ground. That's why we utilize the cones to gain ground to force the movement of that defender. We also want to utilize our hands and our feet to counter the DB's technique. Okay, we want to have quick feet and quick hands. Okay, we want to be able to counter whatever technique that he's been taught. And so we want to defeat that. Now, the most demoralizing thing for a defender is for him to play the way he's been coached to play, and we defeat that technique. So we want to figure out ways and be creative in ways to help defeat him in the technique that he is being taught. We want to work edges and shoulders. We never want to take a man on a full man. We want to work edges and shoulders. That's why we're attacking leverage, because that's half a man. We don't want to release into the leverage and force a release into the leverage of a defender. So we want to work edges and also shoulders. Okay, we want to avoid collisions at all costs. Okay, we want to have create a zone by moving that defender, by gaining ground, setting him to his leverage. We want him getting moved so we can create space in order for us to operate so we don't get collision, and allows us to get on our route a lot quicker and get up the field a lot quicker. Okay, we want to also escape, bump, and run, okay, and recover quickly and get back on our track. Okay, we want to get back on our stem and get down the field. We want to constantly remind our guys, or we emphasize to our guys, the four things. Number one, you must be able to release off the line of scrimmage away from the defender with no wasted movement.
We continually work against the clock. There's an imaginary clock going off in our head for timing purposes. We typically believe we have 3.5 to 4 seconds to get our route executed. So we work with this clock in our head, and we want to continue to work our release and be able to release off the line of scrimmage with this in mind. Two, we must expect someone to be responsible to disrupt our route. Obviously, in press coverage or bump and run coverage, you know where that guy is. But in zone coverages, we try to anticipate where that help is coming from and who's been assigned to reroute us. Number three, if we release off the line of scrimmage clean, keep our head on a swivel, looking for someone to disrupt our route. As we just mentioned, there's somebody out there that's going to disrupt our route if we get off the line of scrimmage with ease. Okay. For press coverage, a bump and run, you must use your tight coverage escape techniques flawlessly. Okay. You must be ready to use your hands, arms, shoulders, and feet effectively. So, releasing is obviously a science, and it's something that we try to work on every day. Everybody's not gifted with quick feet and quick hands and fluid movements, smooth movements. So it's something we work on every day to ensure that our guys have some type of advantage and a knowledge of what they want to do when they encounter press coverage or loose coverage that's someone trying to reroute them, on their routes.
Thanks for watching. I hope you benefit greatly from the use of this video. I'd also like to thank Coach's Choice, the staff at the University of Houston, and my players. Thanks again and have a great day.